Namaste, nerds. This is Navanad, Budget Pub Stomper. Today I've got something weird for you. This is Hope, however you pronounce the last name. I pronounce it Eum. This is Hopium. And you're going to have to be the gauge of this, and you're going to tell me at the end of this deck tech whether or not this is Hopium. But I think I might be onto something. I've got a buddy that wanted to play this in CDH. I rolled my eyes. I thought it was a little bit silly. And then he started telling me about some of the things he came up with, and I got a little bit more interested. Still thought it was more or less silly. And then he asked for help, and we started brewing. So I'm not showing you obviously the budgetless version, but I will say this: now look, this is not going to be the best deck in CEDH, but I do think we got it to a point where he's going to win some games. And so I also know there's just a ton of people that are trying to brew this deck. And I thought, somebody ought to show you how to do it right? Okay, so now that I'm done kind of tooting my own horn, I'm never done tooting my own horn. But I do think I kind of got on to some crazy stuff here. So let's just talk about the commander. And hold on, don't click off the video just yet. Give me a chance to explain how this is maybe an actual legitimate budget competitive build. I think it is. Okay, so bear with me a little bit. Give me the stage. Give me the mic. Hold your eye rolling until the end of the video. That's my request. So Hope Eum is a 2-mana lifelink commander. It's a 2/2. It says at the beginning of your end step, each opponent mills X cards, where X is the amount of life you gained this turn. Yes, this is a life gain mill, and I'm calling it a budget competitive deck. Is this even possible? Well, I think it is. I think, first of all, it is just the commander. It's just a 2-mana guy. And we have all the kind of classic staples that we would normally want to play in our budget competitive decks, like Soul Warden and Soul's Attendant and Guide of Souls. We're playing Soul Sisters. Please bear with me. Okay, your eye rolling will be held to the end, but honestly, I think when we get there, it will be your applause that will have been held until the end. What are we doing with this crazy commander? I don't even know if I want to spoil it yet. Here, instead, let me paint you a picture. You're playing at a budget competitive competition. At the local game store you've been frequenting, you've talked them into hosting a $100 Moxfield Max competitive event with serious prizing on the line. Then some goofball sits down next to you with Hopium. And now this is just a little fantasy. You're allowed to roll your eyes in the fantasy. So in the fantasy, in this picture that I'm painting for you, you do in fact roll your eyes. Maybe you kind of shoot your buddy a glance across the table like, oh boy, this guy doesn't know what he's in for. And maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's just some goofball with a Hopium deck. Or maybe it's me. In secret disguise. Well, you don't know what I look like, so it doesn't even have to be a disguise. You don't know me. All right, so let's talk about what we're going to be doing with the deck. So mainly what we're going to be doing with the deck is we're going to be gaining life. Now this is you might think mill deck, but really the mill is in the command zone. So really this is a life gain deck. And it's not really a life gain deck. It's a control deck, and it's a Stax deck that also happens to gain life. But we're not really looking to gain life piecemeal, right? We're not going to try to, gain like 3 life a turn to turn on some stupid card that lets you... Okay, so occasionally we might gain 3 life per turn to turn on the Gaffer. But no, really, we're not trying to rush out our commander. We're not going to even play our commander unless we've already got one of these damning Stax pieces in play. Once you've got your Weathered Runestone or your Grafdigger's Cage or your Rest in Peace or any number of similar effects, a Aven Interrupter, once you've got one of these pretty good Stax pieces, well, some of them are damn good Stax pieces, once you've got one of those in play, then you can play your Hope. Otherwise, you're going to wait until you've won the game and your opponents don't realize that you've won the game. Okay, so back to the picture of some goofy guy sitting down with Hopium. You see this person, you don't know it's me, but it's me, painstakingly setting up a Soul Warden and a Resplendent Mentor. things that look kind of like silly. Things that just don't look like, they're, maybe I'm gaining 3 life a turn here or there. And then maybe you do get a little bit nervous when I drop the Gravedigger's Cage, but you think, we'll deal with that when we need to. If you're not familiar with Gravedigger's Cage and its effect on the game, I want you to do this. Real quick, think about this painting that this picture that I've painted you. Let's say that it's some goofy bald guy with Hopium, yourself, and think of whatever deck you're playing. And then think of some of the more popular and powerful decks in the form. Maybe somebody's sitting down with Dina. That's literally just the first one that came to mind. Magda is always the first one that comes to mind. So now Gravedigger's Cage totally shuts down Magda. Magda can't. So it says creature cards in graveyards and libraries can't enter the battlefield. Players can't cast spells from graveyards or libraries. So Magda can't do the search thing. Magda can't do the thing while Gravedigger's Cage is in play. Protean Hulk doesn't work with Gravedigger's Cage in play. And maybe you're playing some kind of a reanimator strategy that, or maybe you're playing Underworld Breach, or just almost anything that's super powerful is getting messed up by Gravedigger's Cage. Even if you're just playing a green deck that's like a Selvala deck, which is another very powerful and popular commander in budget competitive. All of your green tutors are turned off. And maybe you're thinking, well, no, I'm not doing any of that. I'm playing Temur Pirates. Well, almost all of your tutors are shut off. Same thing with Weathered Runestone. So anyway, the goofy guy that's sitting down next to you has established a Gravedigger's Cage. Maybe he's got a Rest in Peace or a Gravedigger's. Something that kind of shits on graveyards at least, right? Well, you know what? Not even. Let's not even unpaint that picture. Scribble that out. Wipe that all away. The guy just has a Soul Warden in play. He hasn't even played his commander yet, okay? And since he's just a goofy casual, he's got Lightning Greaves in play. And I think we said I had, Resplendent Mentor in play. Okay, so that's kind of my board state. And you're not at all worried about this. And then it goes to my turn, and I cast Famished Paladin. And this doesn't look at all out of place, right? It's just a bad white card. It says Famished Paladin doesn't untap during your untap step. Whenever you gain life, untapped Famished Paladin. So, again, doesn't look out of place in a life gain deck at all. So, I'm untapping. I play my guy. And I equip the Lightning Greaves to the Famished Paladin. And I tap it. And I gain a life, which causes it to untap. And I gain a life, which causes it to untap. Okay, so I've gone infinite. Big deal. I've gained a billion life. And so maybe, I don't know, out of the 3 players that are in the pod with me, maybe one of them is starting to get a little bit worried because he's like, oh shit, I have to actually kill this person. I'm playing win-conless Stax. And one person is thinking like, oh, okay, that's kind of cute, but he's still pretty much rolling his eyes. But you have figured out what's about to happen. Well, what is about to happen? Well, what's about to happen is I'm about to play my commander. Okay, so I use the combo of Famished Paladin and Resplendent Mentor. Resplendent Mentor says white creatures have tap, gain a life. Famished Paladin says whenever you gain a life, untap the Famished Paladin. And so here I've got a loop where I can gain infinite life. Then I play my commander, and my commander says at the beginning of my end step, each opponent mills X cards, where X is the amount of life you gained this turn. GG's, bitches, I did it. Okay, so that's an A plus B combo. With cards that synergize with the deck, that doesn't cost us too many card slots, that will win the game with my commander. So the commander is enabling A plus B combos in the deck. So it kind of, based on that alone, it checks at least one of my boxes. Now, it's also a bit of a Stax piece, right? Like, it's not a big deal to have shit milled into your graveyard. But when the deck is set up the way this one is, to take advantage of that with like a Rest in Peace, I mean, hell, like most most budget competitive decks don't play more than 2 or 3 win conditions. If I've got a Rest in Peace in play and you mill over, your primary win condition, you're not getting it back, bucko. And so that is not the standard way that we look at mill. And yeah, now I'm not even playing Hope. I'm not, and I would urge you, if you're okay, we're gonna go out of this weird picture that I'm painting where I'm playing this deck, because I'm not playing a life gain deck, crazy. But let's put you in the driver's seat now. If you decide to play this deck, and a lot of you are not just kind of budget pub stomper followers, you're probably clicking on the deck exactly because you are a fan of this commander. And so what I would say to you is don't play your commander out until one of two things happens. Until either you have one of your ways, and there's plenty in this deck, to make sure that you're not helping your opponent. We don't want to be fueling our opponent's Underworld Breach lines. We don't want to put their Protean Hulk in the graveyard for them. We don't want to put their we don't want to give them easier access to their pieces, right? But once you've got one of your even something like Aven Interrupter, once you've got your Aven Interrupter in play, by all means play your commander and start milling their win conditions into the graveyard, and daring them to try to find a way to get them back. 11 minutes, not bad. We're doing good. Okay, so is that all I've got for you? No, that is not all I've got for you. We've got all kinds of sleaze bag shit that we're going to be pulling with our Hopium. What's the next combo we want to talk about? We have got variations of Felidar Guardian and Restoration Angel, and Clever Impersonator, and Phyrexian Metamorph. I even had OG Clone in the deck because it's like 30 cents, but I thought we could keep the card quality just a little bit higher than that and still accomplish what we want to accomplish with this. Okay, so you've noticed we've got all these Soul Warden, we've got all the Soul Sisters. The best one is Suture Priest. Suture Priest really is a good Stax piece, especially in budget competitive, and you would be shocked at how much life you will gain with one of these. And it shuts off all kinds of shit. I think I already said it shuts off Dualcaster Mage Twin Flame, it shuts off Conspicuous Snoop lines, it shuts off Rionia lines, it shuts off all of your Kiki Jiki stuff. All that stuff is shut on pretty hard with the Suture Priest. But also, if you've got a Suture Priest or a Soul Warden, you only need one of these. Take your pick. You've got one of these guys in play. And you've got a Felidar Guardian, which, people that are looking at the deck might just think, well, that's we're going back to the picture I painted of me just being some goofball that doesn't know what he's doing, sitting down in a competitive pod with an obviously non-competitive deck. Felidar Guardian is a piece that players like to play in low power or mid power casual. And we do have some things we can do with it. We can flicker Skyclave Apparition with it. We can reset our Metamorph with it. We can flicker our Recruiter of the Guard with it. We can flicker Ranger of Eos, and there's tons of 1-drops in the deck. And maybe we've got our Welcoming Vampire in play. And so by flickering our Ranger of Eos, we gain some life. Maybe that procs our Gaffer. Or if nothing else, it allows us to find 2 more 1-mana creatures like Skrelv here and play them out so that we can trigger our Welcoming Vampire again. So the Felidar Guardian has things it can do in the deck aside from murdering everybody. But one of the things that it gets to do is murder everybody. So if we've got a Soul Sister in play, and now we probably don't have our commander in play yet. Again, if we haven't played any of these Stax pieces that shut off the graveyards, we don't want to play our commander. But maybe even beyond that, if we're planning on going for this Felidar Guardian combo, then we actively don't want to play our commander because we don't want anybody getting wise to us, right? We're going to do the little bean thing. So I cast my Felidar Guardian, flickering my Recruiter of the Guard. I go and tutor up a piece, and maybe the piece that I tutor up is Clever Impersonator. Okay, so now I cast my Clever Impersonator, and the Clever Impersonator impersonates Felidar Guardian. And so Felidar Guardian, well, clever impersonator impersonating the Felidar Guardian. We'll call it Clever Guardian. That's the name of this combo from now on. Clever Guardian combo. Clever Guardian comes into play, flickers the Felidar flickers the Clever. The Clever flickers the Felidar flickers the Guardian. And I've got one of these Soul Wardens in play. And so it's like you might congratulate me and say, oh, congratulations, you just made 10 billion life. And, ha, got you again. I play my commander, I win the game. And so, in a way, this is at least, at most an A plus B combo, right? Well, okay, so it depends on how you want to look at it. But I guess the point is the Recruiter of the Guard can find Felidar Guardian. No, it can't. It's toughness to us. Damn it. What about Resto? Nope, we're out there too. Alright, well, you're going to have to find your Felidar Guardian on your own. So you've got your Felidar Guardian and Recruiter of the Guard really is an A plus B combo. Because you can recruit for the Clever Impersonator. You can Ranger of Eos for the Soul Warden and your Skrelv to protect your combo, right? So the combos are a little bit more condensed than maybe they might look, I guess is what I'm saying. And also they have other things that they can do in the deck. But yeah, Recruiter of the Guard finds Impersonator. Impersonator flickers Felidar flickers Impersonator. We win the game. If you have any of your Soul Wardens in play, then you can substitute in the Felidar Guardian with the Restoration Angel. So it can be Felidar Resto. Felidar and Resto will blink each other infinitely, which will gain you infinite life, allowing you to cast your commander and win the game on the spot. Or your Phyrexian Metamorph, which can be recruited. Your Phyrexian Metamorph can be recruited. And your Phyrexian Metamorph can go infinite with Felidar. Your Clever Impersonator can go. We just have to have one of Felidar Guardian or Resto, and then another of either Resto, Clever, Phyrexian, or Felidar Guardian. And we go infinite flickers, and we've got enough Soul Sisters and ways to find our Soul Sisters that the rest, as they say, is history. Is that it? I hear you say? No, that's not it. We've also got some sort of just kind of like mainstay combos. We are playing Valley Floodcaller. But Valley Floodcaller is in the deck for a couple of unique reasons. Now, yes, we're doing the banishing. So in case you don't know the combo, if you have a Valley Floodcaller that is not summoning sick, which is very easy because we play fucking Boots. No, it's very easy. Well, we do play Boots, but it's very easy because it has Flash. So we can flash the Valley Floodcaller in before our turn. So then when we go to our turn, our Valley Floodcaller will not be summoning sick. And then we just need, one of either Banishing Knack or Retraction Helix, or one of our tutors to find Banishing Knack or Retraction Helix. We've got Dizzy Spell. What else? We've got Solve the Equation. We've got ways to find Retraction Helix or Banishing Knack. Need to hit this water again. How do I pause this damnable contraption? Sorry, guys, my throat's a little messed up today. Must have slept on it wrong. No, really what happened is I got strangled in jiu-jitsu a lot last night. Okay, so Retraction Helix on a Valley Floodcaller that's not summoning sick will allow us to tap the Valley Floodcaller to bounce while a target non-land permanent. For the combo, it's going to have to be one of our 0 drops, so we've got plenty of them, including Fountain of Youth because it gains life, right? And Tormod's Crypt because if we are milling stuff into our opponent's decks, this gives us the option to wipe out somebody's graveyard. But let's just say we've got Tormod's Crypt and we've got our Banishing Knack on our Valley Floodcaller. Now we can tap the Valley Flood Caller to bounce a thing, because that's what Banishing Knack says it does. Until end of turn, target creature gains tap. Target non-land tap to return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. So we can do that with a 0-drop anything, so that Valley Flood Caller is infinitely bouncing, and then we are infinitely recasting that 0 mana thing. So we've got Tormod's Crypt, we cast it, we tap the Valley Flood Caller with the Banishing Knack on it to bounce the thing, and then when we cast the thing, if you're not familiar with Valley Flood Caller, it says you may cast non-creature spells as though they had flash. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, birds, frogs, otters, and rats you control gain +1/+1 and untap them. And this is an otter. And so when we play the artifact, it untaps the Valley Flood Caller. Then we can tap the Valley Flood Caller to bounce the 0 mana artifact. Then we can cast it, which will untap it. Then we can tap it to bounce it, so on and so forth. And we get infinite cast triggers. What are we going to do with them? Well, it could be a Soul Ring, in which case we can make infinite mana. That's not what we're doing. We're using Aetherflux Reservoir. This is the second deck in a row where I've blown the dust off this baddie. But this just fits in the deck, right? We're a life gain deck. So there's lots of ways that we can gain infinite life. And if we do that with our Aetherflux Reservoir, we don't even need our commander. We can laser cannon people to death. Also, if we've got our Rest in Peace in play, then this just becomes another piece of the puzzle to just make everybody hate us. Which is going to be doubly sweet, because everybody's going to roll their eyes when you sit at the table with this commander. But they won't be rolling their eyes for long, kids. So yeah, we can do the Valley Flood Caller line to laser cannon everybody dead with our Aetherflux Reservoir. But that's not all. I know. Sometimes I impress myself even. So Valley Flood Caller is also in the deck for one very cool fucking reason. You guys are really going to like this. I don't know. Some of my CDH friends are going to hate this. But I think this is sick. Check out this card. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you have 50 or more life, spoiler alert, you do. You're playing a life gain deck, right? You win the game. Well, here's the thing, though. I shouldn't have said it that way, because if you play this thing on your main phase, the entire table is going to band against you to make damn sure you do not have 50 or more life and a test of endurance in play come your upkeep step. So they will band together. If you've got 62 life, they're going to find a way to get you down to 49. If you've got and if not, if they can't do that, they're going to just take out the test of endurance. They're going to be fine. It's very hard for you, reasonably, to have 53 life, play test of endurance, pass the turn, and let it get all the way back around the table to your turn, and expect to still have over 50 life and this thing in play. What isn't as hard to imagine is if you have 52 life and you have a Valley Flood Caller in play, then right before you untap, you can cast the test of endurance at instant speed. Then you can untap with 50 or more life, and got him. Win the game. What do you think? Am I bringing any of you along with me yet? I'm on board, man. I think this is a thing. Look, I mean, is this Magda? No. But hey, you know what? With Grafdigger's Cage in play, Magda's not Magda either. Is it Dina? No, it's not Dina. But with Rest in Peace, Dina ain't Dina either. No, I mean, realistically, I know this is not going to be like the deck that takes over in budget competitive. But I think it's viable. I think this exact list will play Magic and stacks out the game and put up enough of a defense and have it's just well built enough that it's going to be able to hang in there and turn the corner and win in ways that people think nothing of. That's part of what I'm counting on, like Brewer's advantage, right? Nobody has seen anybody do anything like this in a budget competitive pod, for sure, right? So that's part of, and the other thing is, we just have access to all kinds of tutors and all kinds of the best interaction, even at $99.21. So that's kind of more or less what the deck is meaning to do. Do we have time to goldfish? Let's just go back over some of the main ways that we plan on winning the game, and then there's some pieces that I wanted to talk about that I haven't talked about yet. Resplendent Mentor is a way that we can gain a bunch of life with all of our white creatures, which can proc our Gaffer, which will draw us cards, but with Famished Paladin, we'll win the game. So that's the A plus B combo that wins the game. Valley Floodcaller can do the Valley Floodcaller thing with the Aetherflux Reservoir, win condition, and win the game. Any of these Soul Sisters in play, plus the, what did I call it? The Clever Guardian, the Felidar Impersonator, the Restoration Guardian. That's not as cool, is it? So those are the main win lines. Those are the main ways that you're looking to win the game. It's going to be totally unexpected, and Aetherflux Reservoir also just gives you a way to win the game that doesn't require you to have your commander in play. I get, because, depending on what pod you're playing in, some people might actually get pissed that you're milling their cards. I think that's hysterical, but yeah, I guess some people don't like it. So if somebody is really, really pushing, I just cannot imagine in a budget competitive pod, if you're playing against people that know what they're doing, people are not going to mess with your hope, right? Never mess with a man's hope. It's one thing you can't mess with. But people are realistically not going to be messing with your hopium in a budget competitive pod if they know what they're doing. They're going to be putting their eyes on other decks, which is part of what we're counting on. But we have a backup just in case. Then we also have value engines. We've got Stax pieces. What were the... Oh, I know what I was proud of. Oh, there's some cool shit too, right? We've got Heliod's Intervention. That's when you don't get to play all that often, and it does double duty here. And this target player gains twice X life. That might not seem like very much, but when you're at 45 life and you've got a test of endurance in hand, becomes a real thing. Dawn of Hope. So this is going to be a sick value engine in this deck. So not only is this going to allow you to make a bunch of little 1/1 white soldier tokens that can tap to gain life with your other guy, and have lifelink, but it just says whenever you gain life, you can pay 2 mana to draw a card. So I think that's just going to translate in this deck into a 2 mana enchantment that just says pay 2 mana, draw a card. That's pretty good. In budget, that's pretty good. Not to mention you've got all this other synergy with it. And you do have all these really damning Stax pieces. Aether Vial. This is one that I always am looking for ways to squeeze into my decks. It usually doesn't fit. I think people sleep on this card in general. But I understand there's not that many decks that can really take massive advantage of it. But, you could be in a Thoracle deck that is also a Druid deck. What's the Druid guy called? Hermit Druid. If you're playing Hermit Druid and you're playing Thassa's Oracle, I think that's enough reason. You probably have some other 2-drops to put a couple of charge counters on Aether Vial and then be able to break timing restrictions and flash your Devoted Druid or Hermit Druid. Yeah, maybe you're playing both. Flash them in at instant speed, or your Thoracle. Or you could flash in that, what's the guy called? Divining Witch? The Thassa's Oracle, the Demonic Consultation on a stick. You can flash that guy in at instant speed. So this guy, I think, could see more play than it does. This guy, Aether Vial, could see more play than it does. I'm not sure if everybody knows it's been reprinted and is only $3.64. If you're in a deck that has a bunch of 1-drops, it's damn good. if you're in a deck that has a bunch of 1-drops and a good number of 2-drops and some 3-drops, it's holy shit, getting my deck good. This is like really good ramp in this deck, because we do have, we've got lots of 1-mana guys. We've got enough 2-mana guys, although that's probably our weak spot. But we do have some 2-drops. We're probably going to quickly pass the 2-drop slot on and get the 3 counters on. But, when you're going through maybe you put 1 counter on it, and you play a couple of guys at 1, and then you put a second counter, and maybe you flash in a Sutured Priest in response to your opponent trying to win with Dualcaster Mage. Or you just flash this guy in when somebody thinks that they're going to reanimate the Razakath, right? So there's things to do even at 2 counters. Then once you've got 3 counters on it, probably just leave it on 3, and you can flash in your... a lot of these guys already have flash, but you also don't have to pay the mana cost. That's the most important thing. So you can play your Aven and your Aven and your Recruiter, Skyclave, Welcoming Vampire, Gaffer, Valley Floodcaller. Keep in mind that when you do this, when you use the Aether Vial to flash something in, and you don't have to, you can play it on your turn too, but they can't counterspell it, so that's another thing. So yeah, I think this should see more play, and I think this is a just perfect deck for it. So yeah, I think that's pretty much the deck. We've got I settled on 32 lands after doing a pretty good amount of gold fishing. I had only 30 lands at first because I thought the mana curve was so low and the commander's only 2 mana. But no, this is a control deck, and really what I found is in gold fishing, it often feels like in order to really be in the games, you're going to need to get a value engine going. The commander doesn't draw cards. It doesn't generate any value at all, really. It can be a Stax piece. And if you don't think so, man, I'm telling you, if Rest in Peace is in play and you drop this guy and start milling shit into Oblivion, that is a Stax piece. That's going to do damage. It's not like you're just cutting your opponent's deck. Like, those cards, once they're gone, if they're rested in peace, there's no tutoring them back. There's no reanimating them. They're gone, right? What was I saying? We've got all the interaction, got all the best counter spells and the best removal. And really, like, Azorius has, like, really good. We've got Heliod's Intervention, which is just a really good spell. We've got Abolish, which should be played more, but I understand why it's not. There aren't that many decks that play a bunch of planes, but we have 13. And I've heard wise people say, if it's free, it's me. And this is free. It's free interaction. You can discard a planes that you don't need instead of paying the mana cost on Abolish, and it's a free disenchant. We've got Miscast and Misdirection. Even with the Aetherflux Reservoir, I still had room for stuff like Misdirection. But I think that is going to do it for the deck tech. Oh, yeah. What I was saying is 32 lands is right, because really in order for this control deck to control, we need to establish a value engine. We need to have like a Welcoming Vampire, or an Archmage Emeritus, or a Gaffer. You've got to get something like that online pretty quick. Even this guy could be that on the Disturbed side. We need a value engine. We need to clone somebody's Thrasios. Well, clone their whatever. We need a value engine to, I think, stay super relevant in the game. Although I don't know, even if you don't feel in gold fishing like your deck is like super relevant, like you don't feel like it's doing, you don't feel like it's playing at the budget competitive level. Keep in mind that we are a parasite. Like, this deck is a parasitic deck, and it is really trying to prey on the fact that nobody gives a shit about our Soul Sisters. Nobody cares that we're gaining 3 life a turn off of our famished Paladin, even if we have a Gaffer in play. They just have bigger things to worry about. Nobody cares about this stuff. Nobody cares that we've got a Felidar Guardian in play. Even if we've got a Felidar Guardian that flickered our Ranger Captain, or Ranger of Eos, which got us 2 Soul Sisters, or a Soul Warden and a Skrelv. They still don't care. They can't afford to care. But then, when you find your Clever Impersonator, or your Restoration Angel, or your Phyrexian Metamorph, they're going to wish they had cared. Because you're going to drop that thing, you're going to make infinite life, you're going to gain infinite life, you're going to cast your commander, you're going to win the game. That is all of the breath I have in my lungs. That's it. I guess we don't have time to do gold fishing. The deck plays like a control deck. And honestly, it plays like a Staxy control deck that doesn't have card advantage in the command zone. So what you're going to be looking for in your mulling is survival. You're going to want a way to survive, and hopefully a tutor or a value engine proper. And that's been Hopium. And this deck tech is also known as Has Navanad Lost His Entire Fucking Mind? Ask your mom, she knows. Word to your mother. I wasn't saying anything diminishing about your mother. I was just bridging the gap. We were just going into the word to your mother, which is how I sign off every time I'm done at your mom's house. Word to your mother. East side until the day that I die on the west side. I think that's it. I was going to make some kind of clever joke about Hope, but I can't. The problem is I can't pronounce that last name, So, if you can pronounce the last name, leave that in the comments, please. And don't be a smartass and just write it and say it's pronounced this way and just write it. I want, dictionary shit, Give me the actual breakdown of how I say Estheim, Hope Estheim. It's Hopium. Namaste, nerds.